Someone call an ambulance. I'm about to do something life-risking and absurd. No, I said an ambulance. One. Not two. I don't need three of these things. All I'm doing is walking. I'm walking here.
We are walking Manhattan.
And when I say walking, I mean it.
Get ready to experience New York City top to bottom. Literally, we're going from the very top to the very bottom.
Exploring parts of New York City you've never seen, and some famous ones you definitely have seen.
What's the deal with all these famous restaurants?
Following a trail Native Americans used before Europeans ever showed up here.
I have so far passed 14 Chipotles, 23 Dunkin' Donuts, and 432 pizza joints. Rough estimates, but ballpark for sure. They said it couldn't be done. And they were wrong. It's been done a bunch of times. Like, there's several YouTube videos about it. Lots of people have done it, but we're doing it better than anybody else.
Exactly how long will this take? How many miles will I cover? Exactly how many steps is it?
But wait, there's more.
What truly memorable things will I see? Who am I going to call if something goes wrong?
That firehouse looks familiar. It is the one from Ghostbusters.
We're about to find out.
It is New York as you've never seen it before, top to bottom, from the Bronx all the way to New York Harbor in this episode of Window Seat. I must admit this is a rather pedestrian episode of Window Seat. You get it? Because we're walking the whole time, but also because I'm a simpleton. There's not a lot of heavy mental lift to this episode. I guess that's true of most of our episodes. Let's get to the bottom of this right now.
And to walk from the tip of Manhattan, first you have to get to the tip of Manhattan. That means a subway ride all the way up the west side, past Washington Heights and Harlem, up to the Dyckman Street subway stop on the A train. It's one of the very last stops in Manhattan. From there, a stroll through the city's largest remaining old-growth forest, right here in Inwood Hill Park. This is as far north as you can get on the island of Manhattan, and by the way, it is amazing.
All right, so here's where the journey begins. This behind me here is the Henry Hudson Bridge, connecting Manhattan to the Bronx. New Jersey's across the Hudson over there, just a few hundred yards. We are at the very top of Manhattan, so start the clock, 1:55 p.m. Let's see how long it takes us to get to the bottom of this.
Okay, so clock started. As I set out on this journey, a quick look at the path I'm going to take. Essentially, I'm going straight down Broadway, and the trip will take me through Inwood, Washington Heights, Harlem, the Upper West Side, Midtown Manhattan, the heart of Times Square, then down to Greenwich Village, SoHo, Tribeca, the financial district, finally Battery City Park and the Staten Island Ferry Terminal. That's the southern tip of Manhattan. They say walkers can do this in 5 to 6 hours, but most people spend 7 to 9 hours doing it because there are so many interesting things to stop and see along the way.
This is going to be interesting because I slept about 3 hours last night, had a super early flight to New York City. So did not get much rest and wasn't planning on walking 12 miles today. But as I was landing at the airport, I thought, I've got a few hours to kill. What can I do that's sort of unique and interesting and special? And, I've done this sort of thing before. If you didn't know, we have walked all the way from LaGuardia Airport to JFK in a previous episode. That was about 10 miles across Queens. We'll put a link to that so you can check out the journey. Super cool. Saw all kinds of Queens neighborhoods that I'd never visited before. And then on a separate trip, I also walked from LaGuardia Airport into Midtown Manhattan, which was shockingly easy. You just walk through some cool neighborhoods, Long Island City, go across the Queensboro Bridge, and boom, there you are. Piece of cake, actually. It's something you should consider if you're traveling light and ever fly into LaGuardia. But this is the granddaddy of them all because I'll essentially have done a half marathon by the time this is done. So let's see if I can hold up.
And this is not even the most ambitious of all New York City walks, by the way. They have one called the Great Saunter, where you circle the perimeter of the entire island of Manhattan. They say it's roughly 32 miles, more than double the walk I'm taking. I will be doing that in an upcoming episode, so stand by for that. Meantime, as for this walk, we are making our way south. Time for a quick progress report.
And so for the next part of the journey, you just follow Broadway for miles and miles and miles, and it's sort of New York City's Main Street. All right, it is 2:55, which means we are exactly 1 hour into this journey. We've made it from north of 200th Street all the way down to 162nd and Broadway. So we've made some pretty good time. keeping up a good pace. Still haven't eaten anything. I've walked past a million, Dominican restaurants and Puerto Rican restaurants, Italian restaurants. I am salivating. I've got to find something to eat, so we're gonna do that here momentarily.
Before that, a bit more on this neighborhood. I'm in Washington Heights near the Columbia University Medical Center and in the heart of one of New York City's biggest Dominican neighborhoods. There are ethnic restaurants and bodegas and biker gangs.
Some young bicycle gang is going up Broadway right now.
They seem harmless enough, so let's keep moving. Further south we go to the Barnard College campus, one of the most selective liberal arts colleges in the country. It's just across from Columbia University's main campus. They call this neighborhood Morningside Heights, but some call it America's Acropolis because of its concentration of higher education. Lots of smart people on this side of town, which probably explains why I never spent a whole lot of time here. But just a few blocks away, finally, a familiar sight.
What's the deal with this diner back here? I think I'm going to go in and ask for the booth with the good lighting, because it makes all the difference in the world.
This, of course, is the exterior of the diner that George and Jerry and Elaine and Kramer constantly patronized on Seinfeld. If you're a true New Yorker, though, you know there's no way they would have come here because this restaurant is at 112th and Broadway, and Seinfeld was set about 30 blocks south of here, and there's no way you'd travel 30 blocks just to get diner food. But I digress. Let's get moving, as Kramer would say.
Giddy up.
And considering I haven't eaten a single calorie so far, and I've burned several hundred, it is time to indulge in some lunch.
I'm at like 96th and Broadway, something like that. Got myself a nice big pepperoni slice, oozing with grease. Of course, you can see it dripping off there, I think. That's the sign of a great pizza. Then you got to fold it, of course, New York style. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
After taking a few minutes to digest, onward I go to the next part of Manhattan, the part I know best.
This is such a great part of town. I have such a strong affinity for the Upper West Side. I used to live and work up here in the 60s and 70s near Broadway, back when I was a young cub ABC News reporter. This is what I looked like back then.
And those efforts to permanently close the damaged oil well in the Gulf may start this week.
Yeah, a lot has changed. Gone are my youth and will to live. But every time I come back to this fair city, those things are restored tenfold, he says as he can barely catch his breath after walking 7 miles. The journey continues. Let's keep on going down Broadway right here.
Next, I pass world-famous Gray's Papaya, a quintessential cheap restaurant in New York where you can get an inexpensive hot dog or 2 or 5. Then onward through the UWS. In this part of town, you'll pass the famous Juilliard School, one of the most prestigious performing arts schools in the world. People like Robin Williams and Viola Davis and Jessica Chastain have all studied here. It's located at Lincoln Center, home of the New York Philharmonic and the Metropolitan Opera. Then it's down Broadway to Columbus Circle. That's the Trump International Hotel. Over here is Deutsche Bank Center. It used to be Time Warner Center. Basically, it's a big mall.
It's also where CNN used to be headquartered here at Time Warner Center. They've since moved. It's right on the corner of Central Park, and it's a really cool part of town. My battery's almost going to die, which is actually okay because it turns out my hotel is directly on the route from the top of Manhattan to the bottom. So I'm going to stop off here at my hotel in Times Square and get a new battery real quick.
Batteries replaced. Now I'm getting into the heart of Manhattan, the theater district, Times Square, baby. This is Midtown Manhattan, home to your favorite Broadway shows, some iconic restaurants. This is the crossroads of the world and where you will be overrun with tourists. Honestly, can't get out of this part of town fast enough, so let's get moving here to a place you might recognize.
Okay, the walkabout continues. We've made it to 34th and Broadway, the famed Herald Square, Macy's behind me. Again, 34th. This is the miracle on 34th Street right here. And the real miracle is that I've made it this far. I can't believe it. Okay, so we are thick into this. We're still going strong, not giving up. I'm pressing through. I'm going to keep going.
Okay, let's check that timer again.
About 3.5 hours in now, all the way down into the mid-20s, which is pretty good. I've switched over from Broadway to 6th Avenue now. I'm tired, I'm achy, my joints hurt, my back hurts, but I'm not going to whine because I've looked back at some of our videos And I have a history of whining a lot. Some of you have taken note and even mentioned them in the comments. So, given that feedback, I will not be whining any further.
And lo and behold, I have worked my way down to the teens when it comes to cross streets.
Entering what I think is hands down the best neighborhood in all of Manhattan, and that is the West Village. It is fantastic here. You can't afford to live here. None of us can, but it's fun to, visit and pretend. So here's some of the sights of the West Village.
The West Village is the Manhattan you imagine before you come here. Tiny blocks, brownstones, hidden courtyards. It's truly amazing. And the neighborhoods we're about to enter, even better.
Continuing to make our way south. In fact, we just crossed south of Houston Street. And for those familiar with New York, you know that when you're south of Houston, that means you're in SoHo. And it's not Houston if you come here and see the sign. It's Houston. All right, we're in SoHo. Let's go. Lest I forgot to mention it, we are now in the Tribeca neighborhood. And another real estate term for you. Tribeca means triangle below Canal Street. That firehouse looks familiar. It is the one from Ghostbusters. It's still an active firehouse here in New York City, by the way. There's a fire truck right inside. Yes, that is the fire station from Ghostbusters. It's on Northmore Street. Right across over here is Northmore, and at 10 Northmore is where JFK Jr. used to live. It's where he lived when he died in that plane crash back in the 90s.
And now, with one of the most meaningful buildings in Manhattan in plain sight, I can almost see the finish line. As I now see the Freedom Tower overhead, nearby I spot the Oculus, that white wing-shaped transportation hub at the World Trade Center.
And right across from it is the 9/11 Memorial, those poignant reflecting pools with the names of all those people killed on September 11th, 2001, etched alongside. And of course, it's especially poignant to visit right now because this marks 25 years since the terror attacks of 9/11 and since all those people were killed right here where the World Trade Center once stood. It's very humbling to be here. I actually came here as a reporter 4 months after 9/11 with the widow of Randy Drake, whose name you just saw right there. Got to know her. She lived in Kansas City where I was a reporter at the time, and her husband tragically was killed when the second plane hit. He worked across the street, heard the first plane hit, went outside, called his wife back home in Kansas City and said, "Don't worry, I'm okay, everything's all right." And then when the second plane hit, he was still outside there, and a piece of debris from that second plane fell to the street, hit him on the head, and eventually killed him. He was in the hospital for a few days. They flew him back home to Kansas City, but he died as a result of being hit by debris from the second plane. I've stayed in touch with Tammy. She's a great woman, and my thoughts are with her this year, 25 years later, and with the families of all these folks. Again, it's all fun and games, and it's nice to be able to do this little walkabout that I've done today. You're pretty lighthearted about it until you get down here, and you're smacked in the face with it and reminded that it was a quarter century ago, and that so many lives were touched by it, destroyed by it. They've done such a beautiful job remembering those killed on 9/11, and if you've never been, you should come. This would be the perfect year for it, to really pay tribute to all the folks who died here at the World Trade Center.
It seems fitting that as I leave the World Trade Center site and head toward the Hudson River waterfront, I'm treated to this spectacular sunset, a beautiful reminder of all this city has to offer and the reverence it still shows for those killed on that fateful day a quarter century ago. And guess what? I am now just a few hundred yards from being finished.
This is the moment you realize you've reached the pinnacle of the journey. You can see the Statue of Liberty off in the distance. You can see the Verrazano Bridge, Governor's Island. You truly have reached the southern tip of Manhattan.
And right there is the Staten Island Ferry Terminal, and as far as I'm concerned, the finish line.
And with that comes the end of the journey, 14 and a half miles. I got off path a couple of times. 35,000 plus steps. Not too shabby at all, and it took right at about 5 hours with a couple of stops in there too. So all in all, pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with the way this went. I'm glad I did it. Beats the heck out of just sitting in a hotel room not doing anything. This was a great way to spend sort of a free day in Manhattan. I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Walk the entire island, and you never know what surprise awaits you around each and every corner. I feel compelled to get on the Staten Island Ferry and take a nice little boat ride through New York Harbor and go check out Lady Liberty. I don't know if I'm going to do it, though. I need to find a beer and a place to sit down. So those are top priorities, first and foremost. Let us know what you think. Also, we'll put a link to the other New York City walking videos that we've done, the one from LaGuardia to JFK, 10 miles across Queens, and the one from LaGuardia to Manhattan, walking across the Queensboro Bridge. We'll put those in the links below. Also, be sure to leave your comment if you've ever done anything like this or would like to. We'd love to hear all about it. And if you could, like and share the video and hit subscribe so we can keep the story going as we share our travels all around the world. We are back with a brand new episode of Window Seat next week. In the meantime, check out one of these other videos from Window Seat as we say goodbye from the southern tip of New York City.